Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Eugene Nicandri. I'm chairman of the New York State Economic Development Power Allocation Board. I'd like to welcome the other members of the board, members Dennis Trainer and Andrew Silver, who are participating by video, as am I. I'd also like to welcome the Power Authority staff members who are present at the White Plains office of the New York Power Authority. This is a scheduled committee meeting which has been duly noticed as required by the open meetings law. It's actually more than a committee meeting, it's a board meeting. I would like to call the meeting of the board to order under bylaws Article 3, Section 2. First thing on the agenda is adoption of the proposed agenda. But first I'd ask if any members of the board have any amendments or deletions to the proposed agenda. Andy? Dennis?
No.
Would someone move then that the agenda be adopted as proposed?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. The agenda is adopted. The next item is approval of the minutes of the meeting of the board on July 16th, 2019. Those minutes have been circulated to the members of the board. I'd ask if anyone has any amendments. If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes of July 16th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The minutes are approved. The members of the board were notified of the what contracts and applications will be on this meeting's agenda, and if there were any conflicts, they've filed them prior to the meeting. I'm not aware of any proposed conflicts being notified. Next item is the Recharge New York Power Program new allocations. And for that purpose, I'd call Senior Vice President Keith Hayes to make his presentation. Keith?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Board Member Trainer, Board Member Silver, all in attendance today. Today, the board is requested to recommend that the trustees award 10 allocations of Recharge New York large business retention, large business expansion, and small business and not-for-profit based power to 9 applicants. 27 applications were evaluated for this period, all of which were submitted through the state's consolidated funding application system. The applications included both retention and expansion-based power allocation requests, in addition to requests from small business and not-for-profit organizations. As in the past, applications were evaluated on a competitive basis in consideration of the 12 criteria in the Recharge New York legislation. I won't read through the 12 criteria, but they include things such as job commitments, capital investment, and an applicant's risk of closure or leaving the state if not awarded a Recharge New York power allocation. Each application was evaluated and scored with regional economic development councils providing input by scoring each applicant in their region relative to 2 of the 12 legislative criteria. The council scores comprise 20% of an application's total score. Prior to today's recommendations, please note that 93 megawatts are available to allocate out of the 610 megawatts that is set aside for large business retention purposes under the program. Additionally, 87.2 megawatts are available to allocate out of the 200 megawatts that's also set aside for large business expansion purposes. And 2.1 megawatts are available to allocate out of the 100 megawatts that is set aside for small business and not-for-profit purposes. Excuse me. Today's recommendations consist of 10 allocations totaling 5.3 megawatts of Recharge New York power. This includes the following: 2 large business retention allocations totaling 0.9 megawatts and supporting nearly 540 jobs. 3 large business expansion allocations totaling 2.3 megawatts and supporting the creation of over 30 new jobs. And 5 small business and not-for-profit based allocations totaling 2.1 megawatts and supporting over 3,200 jobs. If today's 10 recommended allocations are approved, 92.1 megawatts will remain available to allocate for large business retention purposes, 84.9 megawatts will remain available to allocate for large business expansion purposes, and just 22 kilowatts will remain available to allocate for small business and not-for-profit purposes. The awarded applicants will be offered Recharge New York contracts for terms of up to 7 years. The contract has provisions for the partial or complete withdrawal of an allocation if the recipient fails to maintain mutually agreed upon commitments relating to, among other things, employment, power utilization, and capital investment. In summary, the board is being asked today to recommend that the trustees approve 10 Recharge New York large business retention, large business expansion, and small business and not-for-profit based power allocations. This item is submitted for your approval. I'd be happy to take any of your questions.
Anybody have any questions for Keith Hayes?
No, Your Honor.
No.
If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve the recommendation found in the materials and which he just addressed.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Keith, power allocation extensions?
Okay, in this next item, the board is requested to recommend that the trustees approve contract extensions for 4 allocations of Recharge New York power to existing customers, and to recommend that the trustees approve modifications to the awarded amounts and/or supplemental commitments of previously approved Recharge New York extension allocations. All applications were submitted through the state's consolidated funding application system. An extension component was added to the Recharge New York application to allow existing customers to apply through the CFA for these contract renewals. The extension applications were evaluated on a competitive basis, again in consideration of the 12 Recharge New York legislative criteria. Today's extension recommendations consist of 4 allocations totaling 13.5 megawatts of Recharge New York power. Collectively, these extension recommendations will support over 15,800 jobs and $105 million in capital investment commitments. Today's modification recommendations consist of previously approved Recharge New York extension allocations requiring adjustments to the awarded amounts and/or supplemental commitments. The awarded applicants will be offered Recharge New York contract extensions for a term of up to 7 years. The contract again has provisions for the partial or complete withdrawal of an allocation if the recipient fails to maintain mutually agreed upon commitments relating to, amongst other things, employment, power utilization, and capital investment. In summary, the board is being asked today to recommend that the trustees approve contract extensions for 4 allocations of Recharge New York power to existing customers, and to recommend that the trustees approve adjustments to the awarded amounts and their supplemental commitments associated with previously approved Recharge New York extension allocations. Again, this item is submitted for your approval. I'd be happy to take any of your questions.
Keith, this 7-year extensions, is that the norm for these applications?
Yes, Judge, in the legislation, it states that an awardee in the 5th year of their active contract term can reapply for an additional 7-year term, and in consideration of meeting their contractual commitments. So the contract extension terms are up to 7 years, as was the original contract. Does that answer your question?
If they apply in the 5th year, does the extension start at the end of that first 7 years?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
So you're essentially looking at a 14-year term.
gotcha, okay. No, that answers my question. Anybody else have any questions of Keith?
No questions,
No.
Judge.
If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve the recommendation found in the materials and which he just addressed.
So moved.
Seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item, transfer Recharge New York Power Program allocations. Keith?
Thank you, Judge. This item requests the board to approve the transfers of Recharge New York power allocations for four customers, each of whom are experiencing business changes necessitating such transfers. Specifically, the transfer of 146 kilowatt of Recharge New York power allocation awarded to EJ USA Inc., also known as EJ USA, for use at its facility located at 6177 South Bay Road, Cicero, New York, to a facility located at 132 County Route 59 in Phoenix, New York. Also, a transfer of 46 kilowatts of Recharge New York power allocation and pending 10 kilowatts of Recharge New York power allocation to Flexible Business Systems, Inc., also known as Flexible, for use at its facility located at 380 Oser Avenue in Hauppauge, New York, to a facility located at 290 Motor Parkway, also in Hauppauge, New York. Also, the transfer of 210 kilowatts of Recharge New York power awarded to New York Container Terminal, Inc., also known as NYCT, for use at its 300 Western Avenue, Staten Island, New York facilities, to GCT New York LP, also known as GCT, in order to address organizational changes. Additionally, transfer of a 420 kilowatt Recharge New York power allocation awarded to Normpac Schenectady Inc., also known as Normpac, which now operates as Cascades Container Board Packaging Inc., Schenectady, for use at its 801 Corporation Park, Schenectady, New York facilities, to Cascades Holding US Inc., also known as CHUS, in order to address their organizational changes. The transfers, which are conditioned on subsequent approval by the authority, will result in no material reduction in the base employment levels and capital investment commitments associated with these allocations, and each will be addressed in contract documents containing such terms and conditions determined by the authority to be appropriate to effectuate such transfers. Again, this item is submitted for your approval. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Anyone have any questions for Keith on this matter?
No.
If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve the recommendation.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Motion carries. Extension of the Economic Development Plan. Keith?
Thank you, Judge. This item requests EDPEB to approve an extension of the Economic Development Plan covering the use of net revenues produced by the sale of expansion power to provide electric bill discounts in the form of an industrial incentive award to manufacturing companies located in New York State that are at identifiable risk of closure or relocation to another state. With EDPEB's approval, the term of the plan would be extended from June 1st, 2019 through May 31st, 2020. On January 16, 2019, Pratt submitted a request for an extension of the Industrial Incentive Award beyond May 31st, 2019. Upon review of Pratt's current business case, staff determined that Pratt continues to meet the Industrial Incentive Award requirements of being a manufacturing company at risk of closing or curtailing operations and continues to be negatively impacted by high electricity costs, which threaten the economic viability of operations at its Staten Island facility. Pratt further stated that it is anticipating electricity price increases in the near term based upon review of forward market prices. The company also cited both higher utility taxes and recent unexpected significant increases in delivery costs of natural gas as making the Staten Island plant less competitive than its facilities in other states, further jeopardizing its successful operations here in New York. An extension of the Industrial Incentive Award would support Pratt's ability to maintain the committed employment level of 256 jobs at its facility. At its March 26, 2019 meeting, the Board of Trustees approved the request to approve an extension from June 1st, 2019 to May 31st, 2020 of the Economic Development Plan. Also, to authorize submission to the Economic Development Power Allocation Board of a request to approve such an extension and approve a one-year extension from June 1st, 2019 to May 31st, 2020 of the term of the Industrial Incentive Award previously awarded to Pratt Paper New York in the amount of up to $1 million in connection with its Staten Island operations, contingent upon EdPAD's approval of the extension plan. Accordingly, EdPAD requests that EdPAD staff requests that EdPAD approve an extension of the economic development plan covering the use of net revenues produced by the sale of expansion power to provide electric bill discounts in the form of an industrial incentive award to manufacturing companies located in New York State that are at identifiable risk of closure or relocation to another state in accordance with the Public Authorities Law 1005, 8th unnumbered paragraph, Economic Development Law, EDL, Section 188, and the provisions of EDL, subsection 184 and 185, that evaluate applications for certain power. This item is submitted for your approval. I'd be happy to take any of your questions.
Heath, am I understanding correct that this is a subsidy of sorts that helps to reduce the electric bill for this particular facility for a period
Yes,
of 1
Judge.
year? For a
For a
period of 1 year.
Yes, that's accurate.
Do they have to reapply every year for this application if the plan is extended?
Yes, they do.
So it's a temporary relief. Is that right?
Yes,
It's a temporary.
it's just a temporary 1 year extension.
Okay.
We don't know if they'll come back to us next year or not at this point.
So the onus is on them to, if they want it extended, they have to reapply.
And they have to make the case. Yes, Judge.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
No.
If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve this item.
So moved?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next meeting of the board is scheduled for Monday, December 9th of this year at 10 a.m. by video conference. The corporate secretary's office will be in contact with the board members, providing materials and updates as to the time and place. If not, I would ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, staff,
Thank
board members.
you.
Appreciate it.
you.
it.
Thank you.
Judge.